Hey everyone, Phil here from PC Games Zen, joined by Jeremy.
Hello.
And we're talking through the races in Endless Space 2. So we're starting off with the Cravers that look like a fairly angry bunch. Jeremy, tell me about the Cravers.
They're very angry. They are giant angry ants who exist only to destroy planets and can digest literally anything. And they do digest anything because they're very hungry.
Literally anything.
People, plants, they go to planets, they shoot them up, and they just eat the whole thing.
And what's their origin story?
So they were created by the Virtual Endless, who are one of the sort of ancient civilisations in Endless lore, in a desperate attempt to win a fight that they ended up not winning. So the Cravers outlived them, and they still have this original purpose, which they continue on blindly, just killing everything that comes in their way.
It sounds like they might be quite a warlike nation.
You could say that, yep, they are deeply undiplomatic. It's not that they choose war, but that they don't have a concept of peace.
So if you're starting out, you're going to want to pick these guys if you want to go for the domination playstyle, right?
Yeah, exactly. They have this kind of societal structure where they have a queen. It's a sort of chess-like thing where she doesn't do much in the way of running things. She's responsible for making sure new Cravers get born, and then there are bishops who are responsible for the construction and military, and that's what you'll be doing.
Next up, we've got the Vodjani, who look a bit like something from Mass Effect with their elaborate visors and things. Jeremy, tell me about the Vodjani.
Yeah, they look pretty fancy in their final form, but they have sort of humble origins, and they started in this planet which they kind of over-industrialised, a little like us. Basically screwed it up, didn't have any way out.
Environmental message, though.
Exactly, and fortunately for them, they uncovered these relics left behind by the Virtual Endless again.
Meddling, always meddling. Those
always
Virtual
meddling,
Endless.
even after death. And so they kind of ascended into this sort of quasi-religious sect, and that's who they are now. And they believe in the superiority over other races and right to go out and kill them all. Another aspect to the Vodjani's backstory is it was the brother of the current leader of the Varni who led a rebellion and is kind of denounced as this terrible heretic in Vodjani culture.
So that again strikes me as quite a warlike race. How are you going to be playing if you've chosen the Vodjani?
So because their homeworld is basically done, they live and travel around in these huge arcs, which are these massive pyramid-like structures, very impressive. And they move between systems and basically drain the locals of their power.
So the Vodjani are pretty intelligent and probably capable of some quite advanced diplomacy, but they're not into it. They'd rather just do things the violent way.
They don't fancy it. They understand what they're doing. They're not blind to it, but they believe in the superiority and their right to.
Next up, it's the Sofonz. What do you know about the Sofonz?
Well, if you played Dungeon of the Endless, the roguelike in the Endless series, there's a sense of humour there, and the Sofonz are where you'll find that sense of humour in Endless Space 2.
Which hasn't been apparent so far as we've been going through the races. So what makes them funny? For starters, they don't look like massive sort of war-dealing aliens like some of the others.
Yeah, but as you can see, that this is their home planet, and they were born under a radioactive sun, so although they were frail, they kind of evolved very quickly, so into this funny-looking but highly advanced species, driven by curiosity against maybe their own best interests.
So are they fairly chaotic, or are they a peaceful person?
They are driven by a curiosity that leads them to do sometimes awful things, like they'll trigger an artificial earthquake just to kind of see what happens because they know they can do it.
Got a thirst for knowledge. So players choosing the Sofonz, can they expect a fairly consistently chaotic playthrough, or is there any sort of order going on?
Yeah, that's not exactly how it plays out. They have a kind of bureaucratic structure, and they have titles like the Provisioner of External Affairs, so that's sort of diplomacy and defense and that sort of thing. For them, war is just kind of a necessary distraction. It's not something they seek out, but they kind of deal with it because they want to reach new worlds and they want to gain new knowledge. And for them, the universe is just a sort of big puzzle to work out.
So there will be 4 more playable races in Endless Space 2, but this draws to the end of the 4 that we know about now. It's the Limaris, and they're a sort of fish mafia.
Yeah, it's about that. The Italian mafia, if they'd come from the sea. So they're all about trade and relationships. They're business people, basically. That's how they look at the universe.
So very different play style to basically everyone we've seen before. It's going to be about being friendly. I guess there's not going to be much combat involved then, although the mafia do get their hands dirty sometimes, right?
They do, but I think if they can resolve things in an economic fashion, they will. They don't actually conquer planets. They acquire them as if they were companies, and they just buy out the locals.
Right, and like the Italian mafia, is there any sort of scope for infighting, anything like that?
Yeah, well, they have a kind of... Traditionally, there are 4 families in their society, and they're all kind of responsible for different areas of how things work. And they're sort of constantly negotiating with each other and competing for power, so there's lots of infighting and backstabbing there. Ultimately, they're going to resolve those squabbles because they see the universe as an amazing business opportunity.
Those are the 4 races we know about so far in Endless Space 2. There are 4 more on the way yet to be revealed. If you enjoyed this video, also check out our Let's Play in which Jeremy shows me the ropes, and we'll be doing a lot more Endless Space 2 coverage in the coming months as it makes its way through early access. Please do like the vid and hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed it. We will catch you next time.